Then phase 3 is I'm gonna do a market analysis. So I'm gonna drive the whole area within a certain mile radius to see what my competitors are, to see what, what's around. Is it easy access to freeways? Is there easy access to stores, to grocery, all those kind of things. So phase 3, right? Market analysis. So driving usually 5-mile radius or so, maybe shorter depending on where you're at, but some sort of a mile radius around the apartment. Then I'm also gonna go tour my competition. Now, the difference though, when I tour the competition, I'm not posing as a tenant. A lot of people will tell you to pose as a tenant. I always hated that. So I don't pose as a tenant. I literally walk into a competitor, a true competitor that has the same, unit size, same type of amenities, a true competitor, okay? And I'm gonna let them know exactly what I'm doing. Walk in, right? Hey, talk to the on-site manager. Hey, can I pick your mind for a little bit? I'm looking at buying an apartment in the area. I'm just trying to get some information about the area. You know this area way better than I do. Can I pick your mind for a minute? And then I get to ask the exact questions that I want to ask. Anytime that I try to pose as a tenant to my competitors, I just felt slimy. I didn't like it. So I told you the only property that I pose as a potential, like as a tenant, is the target property that I'm buying because I want to see how they treat me when I'm there. Because dude, that's important. What I'm trying to get from a competitor is really just market information, true loss to lease numbers. Loss to lease is a value add. It's how far below we are market rents. So if I know on this property that the average rent is, I don't know, $1,200, but I go talk to competitors and I see that really they're charging $1,500 for something similar, well, that's a $300 per unit loss to lease. I've found that that's the best way to get true loss to lease numbers, is just tell them exactly what you're doing. I don't tell them the actual property that I'm looking at buying, my competitor, because I don't want them to give me filtered information. I want them to give me unbiased information. So hey, tell me about Catawba Place. Is that a competitor of yours? They might be like, no man, that one is, it's not as nice as this one. They don't have as many, their interiors aren't as nice, the amenities aren't as nice. Well, I love all that shit because I can change the interiors, I can add some amenities, and then I'll be their competitor. I've said that there's 3 phases, but I really would do another phase 4. And a phase 4 is once you're back at home. Once you're back at home and you've gathered all this information and you've been taking notes, once again, wherever you decide to take your notes at, you're gonna review your notes, you're gonna switch up your numbers any way that you feel like you need to switch your numbers up now that you have a little bit more information. And then you're gonna submit an offer, man. Or not, but hopefully, well dude, submit an offer. You're gonna submit an offer at the price that you feel comfortable submitting an offer at. When you submit that first initial offer, you should have some sort of a strike price that, where you want to buy that property at. Make sure that you're submitting your property underneath your strike price, because throughout the process, you may probably get to that strike price. And so you want to make sure you leave yourself some cushion. But then you submit that offer, man, and let's get this thing done, dude. Let's go. That's a phase 4 once you're back home. Don't forget that phase. All right, this phase of the property is called Cedar Rock. And man, this one, when we first initially walked through, it's like, our first initial thought with the curb appeal, you have ones that are stained, you have ones that are not stained, you have ones that are different colors. Like that was our first thought of like, man, we're gonna reskin this or paint or something. But then as we understand more about these unit mixes and how big the units are and how they have a garage and how they have the amenities of an apartment, dude, the demand for these things were crazy. We didn't have to ever reskin. It didn't make sense to reskin. It didn't make sense to paint. It didn't make sense to do those things because the demand for these things were already so high as is, it wouldn't have made any difference to the income. But we have to be a good steward of investor money. All right, so I told you that as we walk through these, we're looking at value add opportunities, right? And I know what the average rent is in the area, something like this, close to $1,000. This is when we bought it, okay, $1,000. But the average rent on this property when we bought it was $700. So that's a $300 difference, 76 unit property. So 76 units by $300 difference, that's, if we can increase rents by $300, that's $22,000, an extra $22,800 each and every month. So you multiply that by 12 months, that's an additional $273,600 per year. That's how much we're able to increase the net operating income. $273,600 increased NOI multiplied by understanding how much it drives the value up would be at a 5% cap rate, would be right around just over $5 million that would increase the value of these properties just by the rent gains alone. That's why we were able to drive $27 million of equity by buying this apartment building, is because rents were low, operations were low. We were able to increase operations, increase rent, increase equity. That's why I say it's a game changer. So that $5 million that I'm talking about is only with just these 76 units. Remember, we have 415 units. That's just with these 76 units, just by the rent gains, just bringing rents up to market rates. Now the reality is we actually drove more than $5 million of equity in these apartments, because we bought at a higher cap rate, sold at a lower cap rate, as well as all the rent gains and everything that we did there. So that's, I say 5 million and it sounds crazy, and that's not overnight. That's over the span of 3 years of solid operations. And once again, looking at the market and knowing when and how to sell, and also knowing when and how to buy. We looked at a 40 unit property, and then like they knew that that same owner owned all this, and they were like, man, I think that there's a chance that, because they had to really sell us on the 40 unit property. We didn't want to do that. So they're like, man, I think that there's a chance if we take this one down, that we could come and like, we would have a shot at taking down this 415 unit one. And I'll be honest, like, as we're driving through and they're talking about the 415 unit, it was kind of like, I mean, this sounds cool and all, but I mean, it was almost like it wasn't really on the realm of possibility, even though they're telling us that they've already kind of had those conversations, and that it could be, we'd never taken down a property even, you know, nowhere close to that size, and so like it wasn't even on a realm of possibility. But then, man, you realize like, oh shit, okay, this really is gonna happen, and it just starts changing like your whole perspective. Then it's like, then you do something like that, and they're like, oh shit, now anything's possible. We can do anything. Yeah, it's pretty cool. When I talk about looking at the amenities and the condition that the amenities are in, this is what I'm talking about. Like, that is a big open space that could be a huge value to tenants, but nobody's going in there, dude. Like, I mean, it looks like it's a parking lot that is growing. Like, you got basketball hoops that are knocked over. You got a net, but it's like not in good condition. But above all that, dude, you got a damn tennis court that, once again, man, could be a cool amenity for tenants that is just overgrown with weeds because nobody has maintained, taken care of, or resurfaced. So that's an upside to me. Like, I come into an apartment like this and I see that, I'm like, dude, that's an upside. We have a big volleyball section here, same thing, it's not in good condition. Those are upsides. Those are all problems that this property has that we can fix. And once again, fixing problems is valuable. And my whole thing, man, is tenant experience. If we can make the tenant experience great, well, then we can make the investor experience great. Because if we make the tenant experience great, the returns will be great. Fact. Because they'll pay more rent and they'll stay longer. So one thing that we found out in due diligence on this property, there are 2 apartments on this same street that that weren't part of the portfolio we were buying. But both of those apartments paid like an HOA type fee to the clubhouse to use the amenities, to use the pool, and there's, you know, a nice office space in there. And so I want you to think about business strategy, okay? They pay us an HOA to use our amenities, and we control all of that. We control what they pay, we control what we allocate the funds to. That is a lever, is what we would call it. That is a lever that now we can push that lever, pull that lever, use that lever to gain leverage. If we really wanted to push the needle and decide to buy this neighboring apartment building, 144 units, we could have decided to drive our HOA fee up. By driving the HOA fee up, now they can either decide not to pay anymore, which means that amenity that they would have, amenities that they would have for their tenants is now gone, or they could just be like, fuck, just buy our building. That's a lever. So we're always looking for business. We're always looking for leverage, levers that we can pull that help us think bigger, the bigger picture. It's not just buying this one building. It's what are the major levers that I have to really build a massive portfolio and make a big impact. That's one of the levers. That's not a lever we pushed though. You wanna know why it's not a lever that we pushed, pulled, played with to force these people out? It's because we had a relationship with the individual who owns this. And you know who that was? The same person that we bought this portfolio from. And we bought a bunch of properties from this old man. We could have pulled that lever and it could have been 144 units. By not pulling that lever, we bought a lot more than 144 units from the old man. So once again, having the leverage doesn't mean you use the leverage. Or did we use the leverage, but we used it in a different way? We used it in a way that would benefit instead of hurt. That's the best way to use your leverage. So man, when we took this thing over, the pool was not even in working condition. Like it was in horrible condition. There was no furniture around. That gazebo that you see, this is like that grilling type bar type feel, that was not there. We built that. We built in the grilling areas as well, and completely cleaned up all the bathrooms, redid the bathrooms, because this area was, dude, it's right off your clubhouse. It's beautiful. It could be beautiful. Once again, man, sometimes you gotta see the beauty in things that aren't beautiful yet. Kind of like you. Sometimes you look in the mirror and you're like, I ain't beautiful yet, but you could be. You gotta see that beauty. You get it. All right, y'all, thank you for watching, tuning into this video. I hope you found some value. And if you did, well, man, let me know, but also share this thing. Also subscribe so you get future drips. But here's what I want you to do. Leave a comment below or a question below on anything else you want to learn about these apartments. Sometimes it's hard for me to think of the questions that you have, so you asking me those questions help me provide better content to you. So man, subscribe, share, leave a comment with something else that I can teach you that will be of value, and always, live always with aloha. Peace.